We're delighted to welcome Carrie Gabriel to Good Day Pittsburgh. Carrie is Mrs. America of 1979. Carrie, I must ask you first off, do you feel like a sex symbol?
I certainly don't, because the Mrs. America pageant is based on the role of a contemporary woman. And today our contemporary role is one of being a career person, a homemaker, and anything else we really wish to pursue along community lines also.
With the feminist movement and some of the changes in semantics, I am surprised that we still have a Mrs. America. I thought maybe we would have a Ms. America.
Well, part of the enjoyment factor is the fact that it is a Mrs. pageant, and it's based on the idea that so many of the pageants have discriminated against the married woman. And those who have conceived the ideal wish to relate to everyone that actually the 51 million married ladies that I represent are really the backbone of society. And we certainly find that now, because 60% of us are holding down jobs also, along with our homemaking jobs.
Things have certainly changed in the last 20 years. 20 years ago, if a woman worked outside of her home, she had to feel guilty. 10 years ago, I think a homemaker felt apologetic. And now we have finally reached the point where a woman can do her own thing. She is free to choose. However, the woman like yourself, who now, especially for this year, you're touring the country, you have a full-time job back home, and you do have a home and a husband, you become sort of a juggler.
Yes, that certainly is true, and it's one in which I often am questioned. And I've done some reflective thinking about it, and really what it amounts to is, if you look back in the last 25 years, especially when I was growing up, the homemaker really had no choice, as you said. It was because there were so many chores to be done and really not a lot of technology to help us. Now today, I'm very fortunate, I feel, to have the benefit of the American technology, such as time-saving kitchen devices and a lot of home devices, as well as a lot of fabrics that I can choose from to make my cleaning chores at home a lot easier. And what I've done today is, I'm very happy, because one of the things I'm doing, which actually my husband is taking part in, is building our first home. After 10 years of marriage, is sort of a big step in our life. And I brought some slides to show you of some of the things that I will be choosing to put in my home, or have the option to choose, and how they differ really from what I had as a child. If you look at the kitchen, it's awfully modern, and it has dishwashers, microwave ovens, certainly doesn't have the old appliances. And what I like is you don't really feel that you have to have mom tied to the kitchen, that anyone can be there.
That'd be a very nice kitchen to be tied to.
Oh, yeah. And this, hopefully, I'm going to have one of the sofas, as is shown here. This is made out of man-made olefin fiber, which is known more to people as polypropylene, useful because of its soil-resistant nature. It's also poly-filled, and it's very bounceable. And when I was going to school, grade school, we couldn't go into our living room because food stains or spills could not be cleaned up with the old-time fabrics. But today, with the fibers that we have, such as the polyester, the acrylics, the nylons, it makes our job so much easier. So I can't wait to pick mine out. And of course, this is a room that I don't know if I'll be having soon. It's a nursery room, but we certainly can see that a child would want to crawl on the carpeting, because it is soft, there's lots of color, and it lends itself well to play. The next room, hopefully, my husband and I will have it. This is the large screen, which of course you in Pittsburgh could enjoy, with the Pittsburgh Steelers doing so well. And there is carpeting all up and down the wall for acoustical value, as well as the upholstery made out of man-made fiber. So that's really a man-made fiber room, which we wouldn't have seen 25 years ago. Certainly conducive to our new lifestyle, and you could eat, drink, and really enjoy.
No doubt about it, Carrie. Lifestyle has changed. Do you think that it is all that simple, though?
Well, I'll tell you, you can say a lot for inflation, that the economy has had its toll, but if it hadn't been really for a lot of the technologies freeing up mom's time and my own time, I look at my cleaning when I first married 10 years ago, I spent much more time than I do today. Within about an hour, hour and a half, I'm finished, and if I stayed at home, what do you do with your time? You can have a lot of crafts.
You're going to, I think, probably the wrath of a lot of women out there who say, what does she mean? What do you do all day? I mean...
Well, I've done both, so I understand, and you can fill your day. But as far as giving us a choice, yes, we certainly have had a choice because of a lot of the technologies that we've enjoyed. I brought along a few other items that a lot of us take for granted, because 75% of the man-made fibers today make up the textiles in our country. For example, the sofa that we have, the clothing that we have, but these are a little unusual.
Yes, you brought along
Yes.
a lot of different things. I don't know
These
what
are
they all have in common.
they're man-made fiber, and
What is
this is different. This is polyester, and polyester has always been used in fibers for fabrics because of its blendable ability, but it's also sanitary properties. This is an artery that is used in transplants. It is polyester fiber.
This is used in heart transplants?
That's in artery transplants. They find that because of its sanitary nature, the body will accept it much more readily than perhaps a human artery that had been transplanted. We then have a lot of the apparel is being made out of rayon, and a lot of your top designers such as Halston are making our evening wear out of rayon. But if you wish to put a little fiber in your diet, why not use a tea bag, which is now made out of rayon, because it's highly absorbent, very durable, and you get many more cups of tea than you used to with the old type tea bag. So these kinds of things, you know, I think are very unusual because you take them for granted. They've come upon our lives in the last 25 years, and we certainly have used them. We haven't rejected them. They do make our life a lot easier, and I find it's exciting. There's one more item I'd like to mention if we have time, which is unusual, and this is aramid. Aramid is very strong and durable, and I don't know if you would know what this is.
I don't have the vaguest idea, Karen.
This is a ballistic-proof vest, which now a lot of the military and the policemen are using because it is much more lightweight in nature for them to wear, and it will stop handgun bullets. So it's super, and once again, man-made fiber is saving a lot of
You
money.
don't really travel very light. Everything from ballistic vests to tea bags to arteries. I want to thank you very much, Carrie Gabriel, Mrs. America of 1979. Enjoy the remainder of your reign.
I hope to. Thank you so much.
We're going to be right back with Renaissance Woman. I suppose if you had to describe Gladys Heldman in one word, you'd have to call her an overachiever. The background material on Gladys is about this thick. It starts with Phi Beta Kappa, tennis champion, and Gladys actually, we're going to get down to the business at hand because Gladys has written this marvelous book that is getting some rave reviews. I have to back up a little bit with you though, Gladys. You did not start to play tennis until after you were married, and yet you played Forest Hills, you played Wimbledon, you edited a tennis magazine, you got very involved in world team tennis. Inspiration for those people out there to say, well, I'd love to take up the sport, but it's too late now because I'm 23.
23 is a young age to start. You can start at 65. I know a woman who started at 65 and she's now 85. She puts her first serve in, comes in, hits the first volley deep down the center, backs up for the overhead, smashes it, and she looks super. But if you go into a sport, it's like taking up piano. You can't practice it an hour a day and get really good at it. If you practice an hour a week, you're never going to be a pianist. If you do 2 or 3 hours a day, within 6 months you're going to be reasonably good.
Gladys, when you mentioned that you know a woman 65 who has taken up tennis, I think this brings us to the novel that you have written, and I want to pronounce this properly. You call it the Harmonetics Investigation. And the book actually focuses attention on the eternal quest for youth in this country. As a matter of fact, the the ad that appeared in this was the New York Times
Yes.
last week. Eternal youth, perpetual beauty, everlasting love. This you talk about in this book. Tell us what inspired you to write about this particular subject.
I think everybody's searching for answers. They're joining cults, they're joining societies, either semi-philosophical, semi-religious, in which they get the answers as to why they are here on earth, how they can find happiness, how they can be popular, how they can be loved. And if they become a member of a cult, suddenly they're part of a group. In the Harmonetics Society, each member has a touching of the other member, touching the face, touching the shoulders, clasping, which gives a feeling of family among the group. Dr. Josiah Minden, the leader, is 60 years old, but he looks about 40 years old. And there's a hint through this novel of you can get back your youth, even though respect and dignity are given to the elderly and a chance to work. Still, there's also the appeal to the older people of recapturing literally one's looks of 20, 30, or 40 years ago.
Why do we have, in this country particularly, an obsession with youth? Why, in your opinion, is this so? That we are a youth-oriented society. Everything is geared to, well, the teenagers have an awful lot of power. They have an awful lot of attention focused on them. Used to be said that don't trust anyone over 30, and over 40 will forget it.
That's right, and over 50, you're just about ready for the garbage can.
And over 60, you're totally ignored.
Yes, the corporation society retires somebody at 65 and they're through. If a man is fired or loses his job for any reason because his company has gone bankrupt and he starts looking for a job at 50, it's very, very difficult. If he's 55, it's almost impossible. And a woman who's a model or an actress finds there are no parts, no commercials for her after a certain age. Now, this doesn't happen in Japan. And what I'm trying to do in a very subtle way in my book is to promote wrinkles and fallen jowls and gray hair. And if they can become popular, just as the Turks popularized women who weigh a good 180 pounds, the Japanese popularized the white rice powder skin. We can popularize anything. The Greeks popularized the tall, huge woman, flat-chested. Rubens popularized the big-busted woman. So I am popularizing the woman with a few little tiny wrinkles here, some pockets under her eyes, little broken blood vessels in her cheeks. And you know when you see her, she is a woman of experience.
Gladys, if you are successful, you will probably be the first woman president of the United States, and beyond that, anything you want. I think the concept is very interesting. I think the time has come that we begin to closely examine our values. I'm sure that you, like me, we know friends of ours who are on an eternal search for youth, who have gone the plastic surgery route, so on and so forth. They end up with a lot of scars to their psyche, not just behind the hairline.
Yes, and although some of them look really, truly marvelous after the surgery, some have had so much surgery that it's a disaster. I have a few friends who are really difficult to look at. One who's had 3 facelifts, she looks like a skeleton. Now, that doesn't mean that people shouldn't have plastic surgery, but when, on the block we live on in Houston, there are 18 homes, and I would say that maybe in 10 of the homes there's been plastic surgery.
There is certainly a need for a change in this country, and I must be honest, I have not read the book. I want to sit down and read it. Does it have a happy ending?
It has a wild horror ending that's amoral and illegal and immensely satisfying.
Would you like to finish the show? Because I think I'm going to start reading the book right this minute. The book, Gladys Heldman. Gladys, thank you so much for stopping by and being our guest and sharing your thoughts with us this morning. We're going to be right back with Harriet.
The weather forecast for Pittsburgh and vicinity: turning cold and windy with showers today, tonight, and again on Wednesday. Possibly a thunder shower this morning. Temperatures slowly falling to the 50s by evening, low tonight near 40.
Time now to check in with Harriet Friedlander, our resident astrologer from the Sign of Aquarius bookstore out in Shadyside. Harriet's already now with your daily horoscope for this October 23rd, 1979.
October 23rd, Aries. An associate can give you some helpful advice if you're willing to accept it. Taurus, be reasonable about the amount of money you spend today. You may need it later. Gemini, do your best to cooperate with someone in the home. It could be important. Cancer, you can get a lot of work done today if you stay in one place. Leo, try to resist an impulse to buy something you don't really need. Be more practical. Virgo, if you keep your plans to yourself, you can do what you feel is best. Libra, think about a past situation which was very pleasant. It could happen again. Scorpio, use your